Thank you very much, Sharks. Before we begin, I'd like to state two very quick things. Number one, I'm officially going on a diet and giving up all pie, probably forever. Secondarily, I would like to talk a little bit about Cloud9 in this matchup. Earlier today, we heard the interview from Meteos where he said it was a pleasure to simply scrim SKT. He quoted them as being 1,000,000 times stronger. You have to wonder about the psychological effect that had on them when they gave SKT their favorite picks. We've seen SKT Vayne, SKT Zyra, LeBlanc, I believe, Monte, you were saying, undefeated in the hands of Faker.
Yeah,
I mean,
Faker...
Brave call.
Coming into this match, Faker was 7-0 professionally on LeBlanc. This is not a champion that most teams think it's wise to hand over. And all-time, Vayne is Piglet's most played champion ever, and he has a 23-6 win rate on her, now 24-6. So it's really hard to take down SKT when they have these comfort picks that they can just easily fall back on.
And even better for SKT, with the Vayne pick they used here, there was nobody from Cloud9 who could ever get to him and kill him. Zyra was even there to help him out to peel. Even without the Zyra, I don't think they could ever get to the Vayne, and he would just be such a pain.
Well, we saw the Ezreal hover over early on where they were thinking about it, and it was the last rotation there on blue side, and I think that's exactly what they realized. They were just kind of sitting there being like, oh, well, we'll just take Vayne then.
Krepo, do you have something to add here?
Yeah, maybe. No, I just wanted to agree with what Meteos said about how much of a joy it is to play a team like SKT. When we went to Korea back in 2012, it's really fun to play teams that are better than you because it's the only way you can really learn the game and really quickly. If you look at Cloud9, they're at the top of America right now, and they're basically teaching all the other teams how to play. So having the chance to face these teams that are just world-class, this is the way you learn. Even if this looks like a complete stomp, I'm 100% sure these guys are picking up on small things. Oh yeah, they went from this lane to here. This is how they reacted. Damn, we need to react quicker, we need to react better. And once you're playing these matches, you really learn. They will be watching these VODs, and they will definitely get something out of these games as well as the scrims.
Now that's definitely the way it works at the end of the match. The way that the things that we noticed that ended up getting us there was all the way back in the beginning. Initially, we've seen the lane swaps. There was a couple of talking points. SKT with a strong start, stealing the buffs away from Cloud9, and then instantly moving into a position where Impact and the rest of SKT could stall out the game and arrest control. Monty, what's your thoughts?
They did talk about the lane freeze that happened a little bit, but really what truly good teams will do is they will find that point of weakness and then just twist the dagger in it. And so we'll call up a replay here of how, it was off camera at the time, but how Impact managed to freeze this lane after balls had been killed. So if we get rolling right here, we see the recall from Lemonation. Impact will clear out the wave just so he can reset the lane further up. Now, if we watch this, he's going to grab the minion wave, which has a cannon minion, by the way. His cannon minion has been destroyed. Pull it back, focus it on a single minion, and therefore ensure that he has control of the wave. It will constantly be pushing back towards him. So in this case, we can stop the replay, but in this case, it would have been the better idea for Cloud9 because there was a cannon minion wave coming in to stay for one more wave to bounce it off the tower.
Or, once the damage was done here, they could have force the dragon, try and force him to teleport over, so the wave then would push into the tower, get reset once again, the cannon would die, and they would just go back to normal. But Cloud9, Balls instead, he went up to his golems, he tried to gank the mid lane, there was nowhere for him to go, unless the entire Cloud9 had just run down to the dragon. It would have been hard though, because Faker had so much pressure in the mid lane. We talked a little bit about how it would even be risky even just 4 members.
Yeah, exactly. When you have a lane freeze just in general, the reason we typically see North American teams, European teams just push those lanes out right away is because when you freeze, you're stuck isolated on the map, and the other team knows the top laner's stuck somewhere off on his own doing his own thing. You can 5v4 or 4v3 something and force a lead somewhere. At least bring the teleport. If he does that, the lane crash into the turret. And yeah, you talk about Dragon, but anything that this team could have done. C9 shows up in force somewhere, and they can force him out.
I just want to add, like, every game so far where the team with the better strategy has involved a lot around these lanes, these minion controls, making waves bounce off a tower, which means like making them push back after taking the tower. And I just wanted to add, for people that don't know what a freeze is, it basically means enemy numbers of creeps are way larger than yours, which means they will kill your creep wave, and it will literally be frozen in place. And that's one mechanic that really needs to be watched out for. Back in Season 2, people did not know how to react to freezes. Season 3, people started reacting by moving away from the lane and started pushing another lane. And now we're just moving cross-map objectives and we're going for towers. So it's a really interesting
Just before
development.
your point, Monte, we do actually have a stat to help back this up and illustrate this. I mean, that freeze took place around about 5 or 6 minutes, if memory serves. We talked about balls. He'd been dived and he'd been locked on his side of the map. If you compare CS at 10 minutes, Impact was sitting on 53 in comparison to balls as 20. And yeah, okay, Cloud9 had a tower to their name, but it doesn't measure up. It doesn't give you the levels or the goal that we're talking about. Something to add.
Yeah, it's just the Korean teams, they really have played the lane freezes very well, and that's been a hallmark of Korean lane swap play is extremely good freeze control. And you have to be really, really careful, and Cloud9 was not careful enough in this situation about how they dealt with that, because we showed that replay because just that little move really changed the outcome of this game.
Individually, SKT really showed up. I mean, from that point on, once SKT got a few kills under their name, they were tower diving and they were pushing Cloud9 all over the map. It really felt like SKT had something to prove this game. To be fair, at Cloud9, they do have a win to their name. The question is, we're opening up tomorrow, the next day, with SKT versus OMG. This is a matchup that's going to be quite interesting.
No way. If you look what they did this game, how they did like this small move right there to make a lane freeze, even if they didn't freeze it endlessly, just the fact that they know how to do that, and realistically they haven't made any conceptual mistakes in the early stages of the game, there's no way OMG is going to beat them.
I disagree completely because coming into the tournament, right, and we talked about this, I remember we all sat down, watched VODs, we're like, man, all the Asian teams are not fast pushing. They're freezing the turrets, they're doing these weird things where they're two-man pushing, right? Like they're not doing any of the 4-0s that we see all the time in North America and Europe, right? And it's like, well, that's weird. And every single time we see the Asian team will lose a turret and then bounce back from it. OMG has played the take the slow outer turret, freeze a lane stuff the entire season.
I smell a debate. We're going to get 2 replies before we need to move on. Krepo?
Well, we've watched these replays. We've also watched OMG's replays where they're almost, I don't want to say clueless. I mean, they're really good players.
They were clueless.
But they were, from a strategic point of view, they left something to be desired, and they kept going for these brawl type of composition or 5v5 top lanes, or just keep wanting team fighting. SKT wouldn't have that. Just take the other side of the map.
And
once you do get the final thought.
Yeah, just in terms of the 4v0s, we did see them in Korea. However, they stopped and the Korean team started playing much more conservatively after the lane freeze. Because if the minion wave just hits the next minion wave slightly incorrectly and then the freeze happens, that can just end your game right there. So the team started recalling a lot earlier, not dedicating themselves to the 4v0 because ultimately it's very high risk, low reward.
Well, I love hearing some different opinions and some arguments on the desk. We will be finding out some of the answers to those questions tomorrow. So guys, after a thrilling day one at All-Stars Paris 2014, let's take a look at how the table is now set in the Invitational Tournament. At the top is a tie between OMG and SK Telecom T1 K, who are both ending the day with an undefeated 2-0 record.
And in the middle, it's Cloud9 with 1 win and 1 loss. And then at the bottom, we have another tie between Fnatic and Taipei Assassins, who end the day at 0-2.
And of course, tomorrow we will be bringing you another full day of matches, and here's who will be going head-to-head. We start the day with another All-Star Challenge match as Toys and Messiah join the Fire and Ice teams for a Hexakill game.
After that, we'll roll into the next set of group stage matches, which kicks off with SK T1 K versus OMG, and then Cloud9 will take on Taipei Assassins, and then Fnatic will face off against SKT T1 K, followed by Cloud9 versus OMG. And we'll end the group stage with Taipei Assassins versus Fnatic.
As an aside, there is a very real chance that final game of the day might decide the 4th, 5th place match. Those matches will begin on Friday at 1 p.m. Central European Summertime, 4 a.m. Pacific. And with day one down, we still have a lot of All-Star action, and we look forward to having you join us here again tomorrow. In the meantime, I'd like to thank all of our special guest analysts, Monte Cristo, Krepo, Shox, Deficio, Freak, D-Man, Joe, Chat, Kobe, myself, and the entire All-Star broadcast team. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on Friday.